The betrayal. The stars hung like distant lanterns in the void above Navera Colony, humanity's farthest outpost in the Orion Arm. Captain Maya Chen stood at the viewpoint of the observation deck, her reflection ghosted against the backdrop of space. The colony below spread across the planet's northern continent, a sprawling network of habitat domes, agricultural centers, and the newly completed quantum communications array, humanity's pride and the result of decades of research. Maya's dark eyes tracked the patrol ships circling the colony's perimeter. As Navera's military commander, she'd increased security after receiving cryptic warnings from her contacts among the Rilani, one of the few alien species that had consistently supported humans since their emergence onto the galactic stage. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command," announced Lieutenant Kai Levitt, interrupting her thoughts. Maya nodded, turning away from the viewport. "Put it through to my quarters." In the privacy of her sparse living space, Maya activated the secure channel. Admiral Harrington's weathered face materialized, the quantum connection eliminating the typical delay despite the vast distance between them. "Chen, we've received troubling intelligence," Harrington began without preamble. "The Council of Allied Species held an emergency session yesterday. Humanity wasn't invited." Maya's jaw tightened. The Council, a coalition of the 12 most advanced spacefaring civilizations, had admitted humanity only 5 years ago, after centuries of keeping Earth isolated and under observation. Their acceptance had been grudging at best, conditional at worst. "What was discussed?" she asked. "Our technological growth rate, the Navera communications array in particular." Harrington's eyes hardened. "The Zethrax delegation called us uncontrollably innovative and a destabilizing force. The Kreveshi representatives suggested preventative measures." Maya felt cold dread settle in her stomach. The Kreveshi were warriors, apex predators evolved from pack hunters. Their solutions tended to be permanent and violent. "Preventative measures like what?" "Unknown," Harrington replied. "But I'm ordering heightened alert across all colonies, Navera especially. Your new array makes you a prime target." "We're still testing the system," Maya protested. "It's revolutionary, yes, but hardly a weapon. It bypasses their communication networks, makes their technology obsolete. That's threat enough." Harrington leaned closer to the screen. "Trust no one outside humanity, Chen, even our so-called allies on the Council." The transmission ended, leaving Maya to contemplate the Admiral's warning. Humanity had always developed technology at a rate that made other species uncomfortable, where most civilizations evolved over millennia, carefully advancing through stages of development. Humans rushed headlong into innovation, compressing centuries of progress into decades. The communications array was just the latest example, a quantum entanglement system that allowed instantaneous communication across unlimited distances without relying on the Council's tightly controlled network of relay stations. It would give humanity independence from Council infrastructure for the first time. Maya gazed out her window at Navera's night side, where the colony's lights formed constellations of their own against the darkness. 15,000 colonists, scientists, engineers, families, all unaware of the political storm brewing around their work. She tapped her comm. "Lieutenant Levitt, implement Security Protocol Omega. All defense systems to full readiness. And wake up the reserve militia." "Captain." Levitt sounded surprised. "Has something happened?" "Not yet," Maya replied grimly. "But it will." The attack came 3 days later. Maya was reviewing defense plans with her officers when the alarms wailed. She rushed to the command center, where chaos reigned. "Multiple Kreveshi warships dropping out of FTL," shouted the sensor officer. "They're inside our perimeter." "How?" Maya demanded. "The Kreveshi shouldn't have been able to calculate jump coordinates that precise. Unless they knew exactly where our blind spots were," muttered her tactical officer, confirming her suspicion. "Someone gave them our defense protocols." On the main screen, 7 Kreveshi dreadnoughts emerged from hyperspace, Positioned to avoid Nevera's automated defense systems, they immediately began launching fighters and dropships. Maya grabbed the colony-wide comm. All civilians to emergency shelters. This is not a drill. Defense forces to battle stations. She turned to her communications officer. Send distress calls to Earth and all nearby human outposts, and contact the Council. The quantum array is being jammed, came the response, and standard communications are being blocked. Of course they were. Maya's mind raced through options as reports flooded in. The Crevasci were targeting key infrastructure, power plants, defense installations, and most significantly, the quantum communications array. They're making planetfall near the Central Science Complex, Levitt reported. Strike teams. Military precision. Maya made her decision. Deploy all combat-ready personnel to protect the science complex and civilian shelters. I'll lead the defense of the communications array personally. Within minutes, Maya was aboard a rapid response shuttle with 2 squads of Nevera's best soldiers. As they descended toward the communications facility, she saw the first explosions bloom across the colony. The Crevasci weren't just attacking, they were implementing the scorched earth policy. Why isn't the Council responding? One of her soldiers asked. Aren't they obligated to defend member species? Maya's expression darkened. I believe the Council knows exactly what's happening here. The shuttle touched down amidst chaos. The massive dish arrays and quantum entanglement chambers of the communications facility were already partially damaged. Crevasci shock troops, 8-foot reptilian warriors in battle armor, were overwhelming the facility's defenders. Secure the main transmission hub, Maya ordered, drawing her pulse rifle. If we can get just one message out, Earth needs to know what's happening here. The battle that followed was desperate and brutal. The Crevasci fought with savage efficiency, pressing forward despite heavy losses. Maya and her troops defended each section of the facility, falling back room by room as their numbers dwindled. In the central control chamber, Maya worked frantically to bypass the jamming while her remaining soldiers held the doors. The quantum system was damaged but still operational. If she could establish just one connection. The console flared to life. This is Captain Maya Chen of Nevera Colony. We are under attack by Crevasci forces. The Council. An explosion rocked the chamber, sending Maya flying against the wall. Through smoke and debris, she saw Crevasci warriors pour through the breach. Her soldiers fell one by one. As consciousness faded, Maya activated the emergency protocol she prepared, transferring all data on the attack to her neural implant. The Council's betrayal wouldn't go undocumented. Maya awoke in darkness, buried under rubble. Pain lanced through her body with each breath. Broken ribs, probably worse. Her neural implant indicated she'd been unconscious for hours. With agonizing effort, she freed herself from the debris. The communications facility was destroyed, reduced to twisted metal and shattered concrete. Outside, Nevera burned. The colony's defensive dome had collapsed in multiple sections, and Crevasci ships methodically bombarded what remained. Maya's communicator was dead, but her neural implant still functioned. She accessed its data storage, reviewing what her automated protocols had captured during the attack. And there it was, proof of betrayal. In the final moments before the facility's destruction, the quantum array had briefly connected with the Council's emergency channel. The transmission logs showed the Council was fully aware of the Crevasci attack. Not only had they chosen not to intervene, but the communication fragments suggested they had authorized it. Containment of the human technological threat, acceptable losses, prevent further expansion. Rage burned through Maya's pain. The Council had sacrificed Nevera, sacrificed human lives, because they feared humanity's potential. The Crevasci were merely the instrument of their decision. A shuttle streaked overhead, and Maya recognized its profile, human design. Earth had received their distress call after all. Pockets of resistance must still be fighting. Maya forced herself to move, navigating through ruins toward the nearest resistance signal her implant could detect. As she walked, Determination replaced her anger. The Council had betrayed humanity, believing they could cull their troublesome new members without consequences. They were about to learn how profoundly they had miscalculated. In a partially collapsed research bunker, Maya found survivors, scientists, soldiers, and civilians who had managed to establish a defensive position. Their faces lit with hope when they saw her. "Captain Chen, we thought all command staff were killed." Maya surveyed the ragged group. The colony. A scientist, Dr. Elias Park, lead researcher on the Quantum Communications Project, shook his head grimly. "Mostly destroyed. The Crevasci are being thorough. Any contact with other human forces. Scattered resistance across the colony," replied a bloodied lieutenant, "and we received word that Earth has dispatched the Third Fleet. But they're days away at best." Maya nodded, processing this information. "I need to send a message to all surviving human forces, here and throughout human space." "How?" Park asked. "Communications are down." Maya turned to him with steel in her eyes. "You're the quantum communications expert, Doctor. I need a working transmitter, even a basic one. I have data in my neural implant that every human needs to see." Understanding dawned on Park's face. "There's an auxiliary lab with prototype equipment, if some of it survived." "Show me," Maya commanded. Hours later, using salvaged components and Park's expertise, they activated a crude but functional quantum transmitter. Maya connected her neural implant and uploaded the evidence of the Council's treachery, broadcasting it to every human settlement and vessel. Her message was simple: the Council of Allied Species has betrayed humanity. They sanctioned the attack on Nevera colony to prevent our technological advancement. 15,000 human lives sacrificed because they fear our potential. This was not an act of war, it was attempted genocide. She paused, letting the magnitude of her accusation register. Then, with fire in her voice, she continued, "But they have made a critical error. They believe they can eliminate us like they have eliminated other problematic species throughout history. They do not understand humanity. They do not understand what they have awakened." Maya looked directly into the transmitter, her eyes reflecting the determination that had defined human history. "To all human forces, the rules of engagement have changed. The Council has broken faith. We are now fighting for our very existence. Implement Protocol Prometheus." Protocol Prometheus, named for the Titan who stole fire from the gods, was humanity's final contingency plan, created in secret for the possibility that the galactic community turned against them. It called for the immediate activation of hidden military assets, experimental technologies deemed too aggressive for peaceful coexistence, and coordination between all human forces for a single purpose: survival. As the transmission went out, Maya turned to the survivors gathered around her. "The Council believes they can extinguish humanity's flame," she told them. "But fire spreads, and ours is about to become an inferno." The Reckoning. Aboard the UES Defiance, Admiral Elena Santos watched the holographic display of the assembled human fleet with grim satisfaction. 372 vessels, from massive dreadnoughts to agile strike cruisers, gathered in the shadow of Jupiter's moon Europa, hidden from Council detection systems. It was the largest concentration of human military power ever assembled, drawn from Earth's defense forces and every colonial outpost that still stood. Ships that had been scattered across dozens of star systems, now united in purpose. "Status report," Santos commanded. "All ships accounted for, Admiral," replied her XO, Commander James Nkosi. The colonial vessels arrived ahead of schedule. Of course they had. News of the Nevera massacre had spread like wildfire through human space. The quantum data transmitted by Captain Chen had shown not just the Crevasci attack, but the Council's deliberate decision to allow it, to encourage it. 7 human colonies had been attacked in the 2 weeks since Nevera. 3 had been completely destroyed. The others had managed to evacuate some of their populations before the Crevasci arrived. The Council publicly denied involvement, claiming the Crevasci had gone rogue. but the evidence was irrefutable. "And our special cargo?" Santos asked. Nkosi's expression tightened. "The Prometheus weapons are installed on all primary vessels. Science teams report they're operational, but untested under combat conditions." Santos nodded. The Prometheus initiative had been humanity's most closely guarded secret, weapons and defense systems developed using principles that the Council had explicitly forbidden. Technology that could upset the carefully maintained balance of power in the galaxy. Any word from Captain Chen? Her last transmission came through the quantum relay 6 hours ago, Nkosi said. The resistance on Nevera continues to hold out in the southern continent. Kreveshi forces are still hunting survivors, but they've withdrawn their capital ships. The Admiral's eyes hardened. They believe the job is done. That humanity will accept these attacks and crawl back under the Council's boot, grateful for whatever protection they deign to offer. She stood, addressing the command staff gathered on the Defiance's bridge. The Council has underestimated humanity from the beginning. They saw our rapid advancement as a threat, our innovation as dangerous. They feared what we might become. Santos gestured to the fleet assembled outside. Now they will learn what happens when you cage something you fear, rather than trying to understand it. "The attack plan, Admiral?" asked her tactical officer. "Operation Firestorm commences in 6 hours," Santos replied. "All ships will jump simultaneously using the modified FTL calculations. We'll emerge directly in orbit around Zenth, the Council's headquarters." A murmur ran through the bridge. Direct FTL jumps into heavily populated systems were considered impossible. The gravitational variables and defense systems made conventional calculations too risky. But humanity had developed a new approach, another impossible advancement that the Council had feared. Once we arrive, the primary battle group will engage the Council's defense fleet. Meanwhile, strike teams led by Captain Chen will deploy to the surface with the evidence of the Council's treachery. We don't just want military victory. We want every species in the galaxy to know what was done to humanity. Santos surveyed the determined faces of her officers. "Make no mistake, we are outnumbered and outgunned. The Council's combined forces dwarf our fleet, but they're scattered, complacent, and unprepared for what we've become in the forge of necessity." She straightened, her voice ringing with authority. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new era of innovation. The Council tried to push us back. Today, we push forward instead. Captain Maya Chen felt the shuttle shake violently as it entered Zenth's atmosphere. Since her escape from Nevera, she'd become the face of human resistance, leading guerrilla operations against Kreveshi forces, coordinating with other colonial militias, and now spearheading the most audacious mission in human history. 2 minutes to touchdown, called the pilot. Defensive systems are tracking us, but the Prometheus countermeasures are holding. Maya checked her tactical display. The space battle above the planet was unfolding according to plan. The human fleet had emerged from FTL, directly in the heart of Council space, a maneuver thought impossible by conventional physics, and caught the defense forces completely unprepared. Now, dozens of shuttles like hers were descending toward the Council citadel, carrying elite strike teams with a singular mission: secure the Council chamber and broadcast the truth to the galaxy. "Remember," Maya told her team, "minimal casualties among the general population. Our quarrel is with the Council leadership, not their citizens." The shuttle touched down hard in a public plaza half a kilometer from the citadel. As the doors opened, Maya led her soldiers into the open, where panicked aliens of various species scattered before them. "Defensive perimeter," she ordered. "Advance teams, move out." The citadel loomed ahead, a massive crystal and metal structure that housed the representatives of the 12 Council species. Its elegant architecture belied the ruthless calculus that had condemned thousands of humans to death. As they approached, defense forces mobilized to meet them, primarily Kreveshi warriors and mechanized Zethrax units. Maya's forces deployed Prometheus shields, absorbing energy weapons that should have vaporized them. "They're surprised," Maya noted, watching the confusion in the enemy formations. They didn't expect us to have this technology. The battle for the Citadel was fierce but swift. Human forces, equipped with weapons and defenses the Council had never seen, fought with the desperation of a species fighting for its future. The Council's forces, despite their technological superiority in conventional terms, were unprepared for humanity's innovations. Within an hour, Maya stood at the doors of the Council chamber itself. Behind her, the evidence of their progress: disabled defense systems, subdued guards, and the shocked faces of Council bureaucrats who had never imagined humans could reach the heart of their power. "Breach the doors," she commanded. Inside, the 11 remaining Council representatives, the Kreveshi delegate was notably absent, were in emergency session. They looked up in shock as Maya and her team entered, weapons ready. The Zethrax counselor, a tall insectoid being with multifaceted eyes, rose from his seat. "This outrage will be your species' final mistake," he hissed. "Your primitive display of violence proves we were right to order your containment." Maya approached slowly, her voice calm despite the fury beneath. "Containment? Is that what you call the slaughter of innocent civilians? The destruction of entire colonies?" She activated her neural implant, projecting the evidence onto the Council's own display systems. The communications, the authorization codes, the cold discussion of acceptable losses in the name of galactic stability. "You feared what humanity might become," Maya continued, addressing not just the Council, but the cameras that were broadcasting their words across Zenth and, through liberated relay stations, to the entire galaxy. "You feared our rate of innovation, our refusal to accept artificial limitations." The Relani counselor, one of the few who had opposed the action against humanity, spoke up. "Captain Chen, you must understand. Throughout our history, species that advance too quickly destabilize the galactic order. Wars have been fought. So you decided to commit genocide before we could even make a choice." Maya cut in. "You appointed yourselves our judges and executioners without ever giving us a chance to prove ourselves as partners." Around the chamber, other Council members shifted uncomfortably as their communications played for all to hear. Their clinical discussion of humanity's elimination, their authorization of the Kreveshi attacks, their plans for dividing Earth's resources afterward, all exposed. Maya turned to address the cameras directly. "To all civilizations watching, the Council has maintained its power for millennia by eliminating any species that might challenge its technological dominance. How many other races have disappeared throughout history for the crime of innovation?" She stepped forward, standing at the center of the Council chamber. "Humanity does not want war. We wanted partnership. We wanted to share our discoveries, not hoard them. But we will not be sacrificed on the altar of the Council's fear." Above the planet, the space battle had turned decisively in humanity's favor. The Prometheus weapons, gravitic disruptors, phase shields, and targeted EMP systems had neutralized the Council fleet's advantages without destroying their ships. It was a demonstration of power and restraint. In the Council chamber, Maya received the update through her neural implant. It was time for the final phase. "The choice before you was simple," she told the Council representatives. "Resign your positions and face justice for your actions against humanity and any other species you've contained throughout your history, or continue this war you started, a war you now know you cannot win." The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled counselors. They had believed humanity would be an easy target, quickly eliminated before becoming a true threat. Instead, they had catalyzed exactly what they feared: humanity's full potential, unleashed in self-defense. The Zethrax counselor's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You cannot expect us to simply surrender power. The Council has maintained galactic stability for 10,000 years. Through fear and suppression," Maya countered. "That era ends today. We're not here to destroy the Council. We're here to transform it. Every spacefaring species deserves representation, not just those who follow your prescribed path of development." Her communicator chimed. Admiral Santos, calling from the Defiance. "Captain, we've secured the orbital platforms and defense grid. The Council fleet has stood down." Maya acknowledged the report, then addressed the Council again. "Your defense forces have surrendered. Your secrets are exposed. The choice is yours: evolution or extinction." One by one, the Council representatives looked at each other. The Relani counselor was the first to step forward. "I propose sanctions against those who authorized the attacks on human colonies," she said quietly. "I was outvoted. Now I see that our entire system needs reform." She removed her ceremonial collar, the symbol of Council authority, and placed it on the table. "Humanity has shown us both power and restraint today. Perhaps they are what the galaxy needs." Others followed, some reluctantly, some with clear relief, as if a great burden had been lifted. Only the Zethrax counselor remained defiant until the end, when his own security forces, having seen the evidence, refused to defend him. 6 months later, Maya Chen stood at the observation deck of the newly constructed human embassy on Zenth. The citadel had been transformed, no longer the exclusive domain of the original Council species, but a true center of galactic cooperation. The new Galactic Council included representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations, including several that had been deliberately kept in isolation by the old regime. Humanity had been offered leadership, but had declined, advocating instead for a rotating presidency. "Captain Chen," a voice called from behind her. Maya turned to see Admiral Santos approaching, accompanied by representatives from 3 different species. "I'm not a captain anymore, Admiral," Maya reminded her with a small smile. As the face of humanity's resistance and the architect of the peaceful transition, she had been appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the new Council. "Old habits," Santos replied. "Our visitors have a proposal they wanted to present to you first, before taking it to the full Council." The Relani representative stepped forward. "Ambassador Chen, we have been studying the quantum communications technology that so frightened the old Council. Its potential for connecting civilizations instantaneously without relying on physical relays. It could transform galactic society," added the Tellerate delegate, their voice translator conveying their excitement. "Not just communications, but cultural exchange, scientific collaboration. The very cooperation the old Council claimed to want but actively prevented," finished the third visitor, a representative of a newly admitted species. Maya studied them thoughtfully. "You're proposing a galaxy-wide quantum network, open to all Council members." With humanity's guidance, the Relani confirmed, what was once seen as your most dangerous innovation could become the foundation of a truly united galaxy. Maya turned back to the viewport, looking out at the sprawling city below where beings from dozens of worlds now moved freely. The old Council had feared humanity's potential to disrupt their carefully controlled order. They never considered that disruption might be exactly what the galaxy needed. "The universe is vast," she said finally, "and none of us can face its challenges alone. The old Council tried to control the future by limiting innovation. We have the chance to embrace it instead." She faced the delegation with determination in her eyes. "Humanity will share what we know, and we'll learn what you can teach us. That's the difference between dominance and partnership." As the delegates departed to prepare their proposal for the full Council, Admiral Santos remained behind. "You know, I had my doubts when you insisted we aim for reform rather than revenge. But seeing this," she gestured to the vibrant diplomatic center the Citadel had become. "The Council was right about one thing," Maya replied. "Humanity is a force for change. They just didn't understand that change doesn't have to be destructive." She looked out again at the stars beyond the city, the same stars that had witnessed humanity's near destruction and unprecedented resurgence. "They betrayed us, thinking our fury would be our downfall," Maya said quietly. "Instead, it became the fire that forged a better galaxy." The stars seemed to burn brighter in agreement, witnesses to humanity's most profound victory. Not the conquest they could have claimed, but the peace they chose to build instead.